Hey guys, hello everyone and welcome to the channel. So today in this video we are going to take some previous year's questions from mathematics in TIFR exam. Now chemistry is obviously important because you are giving a TIFR exam for chemistry exam, but there are at least one or two questions from mathematics which makes this topic or which makes the basic mathematics very important to understand, because out of 40 questions in your TIFR exam, if you are getting one or two questions from mathematics, it gives it a high weightage, right? Many chapters in chemistry also have the similar weightage. Like if you just exclude some major topics like quantum chemistry, thermodynamics, so apart from that, you get at least one question from every other topic in the chemistry portion, right? And mathematics also has the similar weightage. So that's why this video is also important if you are preparing for for the TIFR exam. Okay. So I have taken some like 7-8 questions from the previous years of TIFR exam, and I'll show you that how they can be solved. Okay. They just require basic understanding of mathematics, and if you watch this video, you will be able to understand some formula, some basic like mathematical tools with the help of which, if the question from similar topic is asked in your exam, you will be able to solve this, right? Okay, before starting the video, one very important thing, that if you are new to this channel and if you have not subscribed the channel yet, please do consider subscribing it. Now, without wasting any time, let's continue with our video. All right, let's try to solve this very basic question from geometry, which was asked in TIFR 2021 exam. And the question says that what is the ratio of areas of outer circle and the inner circle? You can see there is a bigger circle and a smaller circle. Both of them are having similar, like same center, and there is a square. Okay, so it's like a bigger circle, a square, and a smaller circle fitted inside that square. So you need to find out the ratio of areas. Now, area of circle, okay, area of circle is given by formula pi r square. So you need to find out the radius of both the squares, sorry, radius of both the circles in order to find out the ratio, okay, in order to find out the area and then the ratio. So the basic way of doing it is, let's consider this square as ABCD. Okay, so if ABCD is a square, and let the length of this ABCD be 2a. Okay, so 2a is the length of this square. Okay, so all these sides are going to be 2a. All right, so all these length are going to be 2a, and if I just talk about the half of this length, so that is going to be a, right? As simple as that, because this total length is 2a, so half is going to be small. A square has all the sides equal to every side, it is going to be same. Now if the center is, let's say, O, and if I join O and D, this is nothing but the radius of the bigger circle. So I'll just call it as capital R, right? That's the radius of bigger circle. And if I join this O to this point, let's call it as M. So if I join OM, this is going to be the radius of a smaller circle. Let's call it as a small r. So capital R is the radius of bigger circle, small r is the radius of a smaller circle. I have just made a triangle, and now I can just find out few things. Now understand that this small r is going to be exactly equal to A. Why? Because if this AD side is 2A, of course the half of that is going to be small a, right? From here to here, let's call it as n. So dn is equals to small a, and there you can see that square is getting formed, 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree, and 90 degree. All the sides are also proportional to each other. So basically a small square is formed here, which is like OMDN. Okay, so OMDN is also a new square which is formed. So every side is going to be same. So that means that this side R is going to be equal to A. So that means ki dn, okay, will be equal to OM, and both of them are going to be A, and that is your R. So I have just found my value of small r in terms of A. Okay, that's the basic idea which we are going to do. We are going to find out the value of small r and capital R in terms of A. Now let's make this triangle separately. So I have, let's say, this triangle. I'm just taking this triangle outside. So I have M here, I have O here, I have D here, and this angle was 90 degree. This side has become A, right? Because it is A, so I'm just writing it as A, and DM to already it is A, right? I have taken this OD as capital R. So now, okay, now I'm going to consider in triangle ODM. Okay, in triangle ODM, what I'm going to get? I'm going to apply Pythagoras theorem. That means the hypotenuse, that is OD square, will be equal to the sum of other two sides. So OM square plus DM square. And if you just substitute, OD is capital R square, OM is A square plus A square. So R square will be like 2A square, or you can say that R is equals to under root 2A. So I just found the value of capital R and the value of small r in terms of A. Now simply I can find out the ratio of areas of outer circle and inner circle. So area of outer circle, okay, that divided by area of inner circle, okay, that is going to be pi capital R square divided by pi small r square. I'll just substitute the values here. So pi and pi can be cancelled out. You will be just getting r square divided by small r square. Let's substitute the values here. So I'm just going to do on this part. So capital R square will be like root 2a ka whole square, or you can just directly substitute the value of r square from here, divided by the small r. So small r is equal to a. So that is equals to a square. Okay. Solve this. So you will get 2a square divided by a square, which makes the answer as 2. We have got 2 as the correct answer. So the ratio of areas of two circles, outer and inner, is equals to 2 units. Alright, so this was a very simple question. Let's take the next question then. Okay, now this was asked in TFR 2020. It says कि when a circle of radius b, 4 largest possible identical circles of a small a are fit such that they do not cross each other, what is the ratio of a and b? Okay, so within a circle of radius b, so let's make it. So I have a big circle, its radius is, let's say, b, which they have given, and then I have to draw smaller circles, 4 identical smaller circles. So this is how I'm going to make, right? Although they are not looking identical, but let's consider that they are identical. Okay, this is the cleanest structure I can make. Okay, now the thing is ki I'll just change the color so that I can just help you out in understanding it. So yeah, so if the radius of this bigger circle is, let's say, the radius is given to us as b, okay, this unit is, let's here till here, this is b. Okay, so this is b unit. So let's say this is O and this is A. So OA is given as b units, okay, b units, and identical circles of radius A. So if I just join from here, this is the smaller circle. If I join the radius from here to here, this is like okay, that value is given to me as small a. Okay, so that is known. Now just understand one thing, that if I just join the centers of all these 4 circles, I am actually going to form a square. Okay, so I'm just going to erase that A and B for now. Okay, so I'm just going to erase that A and B. Yeah, I'll just join so that the image looks little clear and so that we can understand what's happening. I'm just joining the centers of all these squares. Okay, sorry, all these circles. Now a square will be formed. Why square? Because all the 4 sides are going to be same. You can see that it is A, it is also A and A and A, because these are radius, right? From here to here, radius of this circle. From here to here, radius of this circle. So A plus A, 2A. This is a square of side 2A. All right. So one thing is one thing is confirmed, that this is like 2A. Okay, so they are trying to find out the value of ratio of A and B. Okay, so they want you to find out the ratio of A and B. So how you are going to do that? Let's try to do it. So let me just join from here till here. Okay, so let's call this square as PQRS. Let's call it as PQRS, and the center as O. So I have just joined PO. Okay, and I'll also join this point, which is, let's say, M. So now in triangle POM, just look upon here. Okay, POM, what is my side? Okay, I'll just draw that triangle. Okay, so that I'll just draw in the same way so that it becomes easier for you to understand. This is how it is. I have O, I have M, and I have Pm is equals to A units. Now understand the similar thing which we did in the previous question. In the same way, if you just zoom this region a little bit, okay, and now if you see here, if I have joined from O to M, and if I join here also, this is a square again formed, a small square again formed. Now you will see, let's call it as N. So Pn and Om are going to be of same unit. So if this is of A unit, your Om is also going to be of A units. Understood? Because a new square is formed, just like we did in the previous question. This is quite similar like that. There we were drawing the square outside. Here the square is inside. That's it. But the concept is same. If this is A unit, of course, the same, like the front is also going to be like the side which is just opposite to that is also going to be of the same units. Okay, let's zoom this out. Yeah, so now I have this particular concept that, okay, I have this PA, yeah, so I have this side also as A. Now I can simply find out that what is the value of, okay, so I have MO is also is equals to A unit. Simply I can find out PO. Okay, now remember, I am not going to do Pythagoras theorem once again. It's very simple that if in any triangle, if it is a right triangle and if you know the other two sides are A's, so the third side or the face or the diagonal, you can say the diagonal is always equals to root 2A. So that makes this PO is equals to root 2A. Okay, so I got the value of PO as root 2A. And if you just want to see the radius of the bigger circle, okay, so that is going to be from here, from O till this point, right, till here. So that means if I just want to draw the radius, this is equals to this whole length is equals to small b. If I just want to show it on this side, I can just draw this whole like this. So that means it is equals to OP plus small a, right? Because this from P to this point, let's say this point is any point X. So Px is a small a. So basically what I am trying to say is that OX, the length from O to X, is equals to what? It is equals to OP or PO and plus Px. Now OP I already know that is a root 2 and A, and the value of Px is nothing but the radius of the smaller circle. Smaller circle has that radius, so that is equals to small a. So what is the value of Ox? Ox is nothing but the radius of the bigger circle, and that is equals to small b. So I got my relationship between b and a. So b is equals to, if I take a common, so it is nothing but root 2 plus 1, and they have asked the value of a upon b. Bring this b this side and bring this value on the other side. So a upon b is going to be 1 upon 1 plus under root 2. Okay, so 1 upon 1 plus a square root of 2, and that's your option number B. So this is how simply you can approach this question. It was not difficult, but just you have to understand the property of a square and the property of a circle to solve this, right? Okay, let's go to the next question then. Right, so we have our next question, which was again asked in TFR 2020 exam. It says, what is the last digit of 3 to the power 4798? Okay, so how to solve these type of question whenever power is asked? You just need to know the basic trend, okay, that what trend this 3 to the power is actually following. So let's do some analysis of that. So we can write down 3 to the power 1, 3 to the power 2, 3 to the power 3, 3 to the power 4, and so on. I will write down 3 to the power 5, 3 to the power 6, just to know. Okay, I'm just explaining so that you get to know. So 3 to the power 1 is 3, 3 to the power 2 is 9, 3 to the power 3 is 27, then comes your 3 to the power 4 is 81, 3 to the power 5 is 273, okay, and 3 to the power 6 is 789, 729, okay, so that's what we have. So now, because you are given with the, okay, one thing is that you are provided with the calculator in the exam, so you can simply do that also, okay, but fine. In 2020, I don't remember whether the exam was online or not, but yeah. So how to solve this question if calculator is not there? Just understand that, see, the unit digit, you just have to look upon the unit digit, okay. So the unit digit is repeating itself after the cycle of 4. You can see 3, 9, 7. Okay, let's make one more here, 3 to the power 0, that will be 1. So 1, 3, 9, 7, then 1, 3, 9, again it will come 7. So a cycle of 1397 is getting followed in the unit digit. Okay, so the unit digit is following that trend of 1397. That means after every 4 numbers or 4 cycle, the cycle is going to repeat itself. So the power, you have to first of all divide it by 4. So what you have, 4798. Let's divide it by 4. So on dividing it by 4, okay, let's try to do it like in a very trivial way, how we used to do. So 4798. Okay, so that's what I have. So 4 to the power. So let's, one time it will cancel out, then you have 7, then 1 times you get 3, 39. So 9 times it will be 36. You get 3, and then you have 8. So again 9 times you are getting 36, and you are getting 2 as remainder. So that means ki the cycle is finished when you are dividing by 4. So that means the number, if the power would have been 4796, at that time the cycle would have been completed. The 4444 cycle which is coming, right, 1397, that cycle has completed. Whatever you remainder you are getting, that is the extra thing which you have to do. That means this 4798 can be written as 3 to the power 4798 can be written as sum of 3 to the power 4796 and multiplied by 3 to the power 2, right? This is how you can write down. Now here the cycle has finished, so this is not going to help anything in the unit digit. The only thing which is going to help you is 3 to the power 2, and that gives you 9. So 9 will be the value of the unit digit, and that will be your answer. That's the way of doing it through the mechanism or through the stepwise. But let's say you just want to mug up some things, or if you want to remember the trick is that whenever the power is given to you, you just have to see that cycle, how it is repeating. Generally in most of the numbers, the cycle repeats after every 4 times. Sometimes in some numbers the cycle may repeat by 5 or may repeat by 2 also. Just like for 5, if you divide any number by 5, the cycle repeats by 2, right? Either it will be 5 or 0, 5 or 0. So that's how it repeats. So there you have to divide it by 2. Now since here the cycle was repeating by every 4, so that's why I have divided by 4. Whatever the remainder I am getting, whatever the remainder I got, I just, in order to find out the unit digit, I just have to take that power. That's it. And that will give me the unit digit of that. If I would be getting remainder 1, in that case, the answer would have been 3. Okay. If I would be getting remainder 3, in that case, the third number of this cycle was what? That was equals to 7. Okay. So the cycle is starting from here. So 1, 2. So its cycle is starting from here like this. Okay. If it would be 3, then I would have got this. So that's how it will be done. Okay. So this is the way of solving these type of question where the last digit or the unit digit is asked. All right. I hope you understood. Let's go to the next question then. All right. Now this is a very good question. It says that which of these represents fx is equals to sine mod x, where x axis is in radians, and this was asked in TFR 2019. So first thing is that they are asking you for sine mod x. Okay, now understand that whenever you are given with this mod x function is like it is given, or it can be divided in two different functions. One will be like x and one will be minus x. So whenever x is greater than 0, whenever you are taking any positive number, it will be a positive number. But whenever you are taking any negative number, whenever you are taking any number which is less than 0, so then in that time you have to multiply with minus. All in all, it says that mod x will always give you a positive number on the x-axis. Okay, so whatever you do, you will get a positive number over there. Okay, so if I put sine 1, so that will be like, if I put x is equals to 1, so function will be positive. If I put x is equals to minus 1, then also the function will be positive. So that means there will be a kind of mirror at your like along the y-axis. So if this is your y-axis and this is, let's say, your x-axis, okay, so along this particular origin there will be a mirror. So whatever the function is doing this side, the function will mimic on this side. Okay, same thing is going to happen because of this mod x. Wherever this mod x comes, you know, the graph for y is equals to mod x looks something like this. If it goes y is equals to x goes like this, and y is equals to mod x is the total graph goes something like this. So the graph mimics itself on both the sides. Similarly, same concept I am going to apply over here. So if I have sine x, and if I just have to find out the the graph of sine x, it starts from the origin and it goes in this direction, something like this. Okay? This is how my sine x goes. So if it is sine mod x, what's the difference we are going to see? The difference will be that it is going to just mimic this side in the same. Okay, so the graph is going to be option number C. Now you might see that option number C and option number D both are looking quite similar, but the only difference between C and D is that the graph in the option number C is discontinuous at this point. Okay, this point is a sharp peak point, and this is a continuous graph. That means here you are getting a value which should be equal to 0. You can see it says 0, right? It reads 0 here in the graph. So you are going to get a value 0 exactly, but here the value is like a curve. It's not exactly 0. So whenever you are getting mod x as the function, you get a discontinuous wave function, or you get a discontinuous like graph, and that's why this particular point will be a sharper point. Okay, so that makes option number C as correct. Option number A and B will not be correct because they are not following the trends of mod x graph, right? So I hope this is clear. Let's go to the next question then. Alright, let's talk about this particular question. It was asked in TFR 2018 exam. It says that the volume of parallelopiped formed by the three polar vectors, A is like 1i plus 2j, B is 4k, and C is 2i plus 4j. Now, this is the question, and the answers are given to you as option as 20 cubic units, 40 cubic units, 12 cubic units, or 0 cubic units. Now, what is parallelopiped? It's nothing but just like a cuboid. Okay, a parallelopiped is a shape in which all length, width, and height, everything, all the planes are actually parallel to each other. Just like you see a cuboid, in the same way you have a parallelopipe. Okay, so if I draw something like this, this is a parallelopipe. Okay, fine. So these like in order to solve this, you need to know the basics of vectors. Okay, vector and their products, dot product, cross product. So whenever you have like what is I, j and k, these are called unit vectors. I is a unit vector along x axis, j is a unit vector along y axis, and k is a unit vector along z axis. So these are different unit vectors along the three axes. Some basic ideas like I dot I, that means if you do dot product of same unit vectors I and I, you will get 1. Same if you do j dot j, and same you will get if you do k dot k. So if you multiply the same unit vector with itself, you are going to get 1. Whereas they are, that means if you understand chemistry, so if you understand quantum mechanics, that means these vectors are normalized in a sense, and they are also orthogonal. That means if you do I dot j, it will give you 0, right? And same thing will be if you do k dot j or if you do k dot I. Okay, so anything, if you are multiplying two different unit vectors, then in that case you will end up getting 0. Now here you have to find out volume. You know, volume of any shape is equals to length into width into height. So let's say these vectors are explaining the three dimensions or three length. So your volume is going to be like volume will be equal to A dot B dot C. So you have to just multiply the three vectors. Now A is given to me as I plus 2j, right? And B is given to me as 4k, and C is given to me as 2i plus 4j. I'll multiply first of all these two, and then I will multiply the rest of the thing. When I multiply these two, I will get I, and when 4k and I will be multiplied, so 4i into k plus 2j into k, right? That is what you will get, and rest of that thing I am just keeping like this, 2i plus 4j. Now you can see that I dot k is also 0 and j dot k is also 0. So here you will end up getting 0 in this place. So 0 and then multiplied by this whole thing, that is 2i plus 4j, will give you overall 0. So the answer for this question will be 0 cubic units. Why? Because the dot product is of two different unit vectors. Okay, so basic of physics, like it is just vector algebra, just very basic of that. So that is required to answer this question. Alright, let's go to the next question. This is again asked in TFR 2018, and it's again from geometry question, right? From based upon your geometry. It says that if capital R and small r are the radii of outer and inner circles, this is outer circle and this is a small inner circle, then what is capital R by small r? remember the hint is given to me that this triangle is a equilateral triangle. We'll try to use that. Let's call this triangle as ABC. I'll zoom this a little bit because we are going to draw a lot of things in this particular image. Okay, fine. So the first thing which I'm going to do is I'm going to take a point here that is going to be my point D, and I'm going to join that point with B and with point A. Now this triangle being equilateral triangle, you know, every angle is going to be equal to 60 degree, all the angles. But now what I have formed, that ABCD is cyclic quadrilateral. Okay, this is cyclic quadrilateral. What is cyclic quadrilateral? It means something which has a shape of a, like, which forms like a quadrilateral means something which has 4 sides, and it all the vertices falls on the circle. So a property of cyclic quadrilateral says that the angles, the opposite angles, are in the sum of 180 degrees. So the sum of opposite angle is equals to 180 degree. That means angle C plus angle D. This is angle C and this is angle D. So angle C plus angle D should be equal to 180 degrees. That means my angle D will be equal to 180 minus 60. That will give me 120 degrees. So this angle D is 120 degrees. All right. So this is something which we have to understand. Now once we understood that, we are now going to do a little bit of trigonometry here. Now what is trigonometry and where we can use? So trigonometry can be used only in like right angle triangle, means a triangle in which at least one side is equals to 90 degree. And few basic things which you need to know is that in quadrilateral, if you are going to use a sine theta, okay, sine theta, that is equals to perpendicular upon hypotenuse. Okay, and if you are going to use cos theta, that will be base upon hypotenuse, and tan theta is equals to perpendicular upon base. These are very basic things which are taught in class 10th. So that is what we are going to use. Now I am going to take the center of the circle here as O, and I am going to join this point A and O here, and I am going to join this O with this point. Let's call this point as M. Okay, so now in triangle OAM, what do I have? I have OA, which I don't, okay, that I know, that is going to be the radius of the bigger circle, that is equals to capital R. What is my AM? That is what I am going to trying to find out. And this angle, since the complete angle is 60 degrees, so this is going to be half of that. So this is 30 degree. Okay, so angle A, angle basically not A, it is angle OAM is equals to 30 degrees. Okay, that is 30 degrees. I'm just going to draw this triangle separately so that you can understand. So the triangle is something like this. I have point A, I have point O, and I have point M where I have 90 degree. Okay, and this is 30 degree. Now if I know this OA, that is equals to R, that is going to be the hypotenuse here, and I need to find out AM. Okay, AM is the base. So wherever the angle is, the angle lies on the base. The side front of this angle is called perpendicular. So right now the base is AM. So I need to find out some relationship between base and the hypotenuse. For that I will use cos theta. So cos theta is 30 degree, that is going to be equal to base, that is AM, upon hypotenuse, that is OA. Okay, now AM I have to find out, and OA I already know. So AM let it be, and OA is equals to capital R. So I can say that AM is equals to R cos 30, and cos 30 I'm okay, let us put cos 30, and then I will say that AM is equals to R, and cos 30 has a value of root 3 by 2. Now you need to remember the values of all these trigonometric functions. There is a shortcut trick to remember that. I have discussed that in a lot of videos of my wherever I have discussed about mathematics. I hope you remember that. Okay, so cos 30 is root 3 by 2. I have directly substituted that value here. Okay, the next thing which I am going to do is I am just going to join this D and M, let's say. Okay, I am just joining D and M. So now I have formed a triangle ADM. Okay, so I am just going to do the things in the triangle ADM. Okay, so in triangle A, D and M, I have angle ADM is equals to 60 degrees. How come it is 60 degree? Because the complete angle D was 120 degree, right? And just now I have divided that angle into equal parts. So that makes this angle as 60 degree. Okay. And I also have DM. DM will be the diameter of this smaller circle, and that will be equal to 2r. Small r is the radius, so 2r will be the diameter. Now I'll just draw this triangle once again so that it becomes easier for you to understand. So I have A here, sorry, I have M where the 90 degree angle is, okay. Then I have D and I have A, okay. Now I have the value of DM, that is equals to 2r, and again I'll find out the value of AM here, and this angle is 60 degrees. So now I need to find out the value, I need to find out the relationship between AM and DM. AM is going to be perpendicular because this is the theta. In front of theta I have perpendicular, and here I have base. So I need to find out relationship between perpendicular and base, and that will be given by tan theta. So I will say that tan 60 degrees is equals to perpendicular, that is AM, upon base, that is DM. Okay. Now tan 60 is equals to root 3, and AM I don't know how much it is. Either I can substitute the value, but let's put it later on. DM is equals to 2r. So I will say that AM is equals to 2 root 3 and r. Okay, that is what I got just by multiplying. Now this is equation 1. This is equation 2. Both of them are telling me the value of AM. I can simply equate them. So what I am going to get from 1 and 2, what I am going to get is r root 3 by 2 is equals to 2 root 3 small r. What I need to find out, capital R is small upon small r. So let's bring this small r here, and let's bring all this thing to the other side. So capital R upon small r is equals to 2 root 3 multiplied by 2 divided by root 3. This root 3 will get cancelled out. 2 into 2 will give you 4. So the answer for this question should be option number D, and that is 4. So a little bit of mathematics is there. I would say little intense mathematics is there, but yet this is how you have to approach the answer, right? I hope you understood this question. Let's go to the next one. Right, let's talk about the last question for this video. It was asked in TFR 2017, and it is a very good question. Okay, these type of questions are very famous in mathematics, and they are very challenging ones, and they just require a little different perspective to solve them. Okay, let's see how it will be done. So what is the value of I to the power I plus 2, where I is iota, and that is equals to under root of minus 1. You all know that. Now I denotes the imaginary part of the complex number if you are not aware about it. Okay, and I is called iota. In mathematics, these are complex numbers. It is asked whether it will be a real number, complex number, cannot be calculated, or none of the above. Let's try to understand that how you can do that. So to solve this, we need a help of Euler's formula or Euler's relation. What is Euler's relation or Euler's formula? It says that if you have if you have cos theta and plus I sin theta, that's that's a complex number where cos theta is the real part and sin theta gives you the imaginary part. This can be written as e to the power I theta. Okay, that's what it is. We will use this particular thing to do it. Now this question is nothing but I to the power I plus 2, or you can write it down it as I to the power I, or iota to the power iota, multiplied by iota to the power 2, and iota to the power 2 is minus 1. Okay, because I is under root minus 1, so if you square both sides, so iota square is minus 1. So this value is minus 1, so you can simply say that this is nothing but minus I to the power I, or iota to the power iota. Let's try to understand and let's try to solve that how you are going to actually get something out of it. So iota to the power iota, that's what I am going to solve now. Okay. All right. So what I can do is I can write down this iota, which is purely imaginary number. I can write it down as real part as 0 and plus the imaginary part. So 0 plus I means I'm just writing the real part and the imaginary part as such. Okay, or I can just write it down as multiplied by 1. Nothing harm in that, right? Now I'm going to convert this in the polar form. Okay, polar form means I'm going to convert everything in the form of angles and sine and cos. So you know that cos pi by 2, That means cos 90 degree is 0. So in the place of 0, I can write down cos 90 degree or cos pi by 2, and plus I will write down I, and in the place of 1, I can write down sin 90 degree because sin 90 is also 1. Okay, so I'll write down I, not multiply, just let's write down I, and then I have sin pi by 2. Now this becomes quite similar to the Euler's relation. You can see the Euler's relation says that cos theta plus I sin theta is equals to e to the power I theta. Now you can compare and you will see that the theta is nothing but pi by 2 here. So this is going to be like iota can be written as e to the power I theta. Okay, that's what in the place of theta I have to write down pi by 2. Okay, so I got I pi by 2, right? That's what I got. Now since I have to solve iota to the power iota, so iota to the power iota is nothing but this e to the power I into pi by 2 whole to the power I, that means iota, right? Because in the place of I have just substituted the value. Now what's the basic rule? You know that a to the power m and whole to the power n can be written as a to the power mn. So I'll just multiply these two. So I and I will become I square, and this will be e to the power iota square and pi by 2. Now iota square is again minus 1, right? So that's what I'm going to substitute here. So e to the power minus pi by 2. So the value of this thing I got as minus pi by 2, and the whole function, which was I to the power I plus 2, which was giving me minus I to the power I, will have answer as minus e to the power minus pi by 2, which is going to be a real number. It's not a complex number, right? So it's a real number, some value it is going to be, either positive or negative. That's the secondary thing, but it is going to be definitely a real number. All right. So these were the questions from mathematics. I tried to take different types of questions, and I tried to make the video in such a way that you are able to understand more and more concepts, right? That is the most important like perspective, or that's the most important motive behind making these videos. So I hope you understood it, and I hope this video is going to help you for the upcoming exam. And that's it from my side for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Till then, have a great day. Bye bye. Take care. Hey guys, so I teach live on Unacademy Plus platform. Here I teach for the CSIR UGC NET category, and you can follow me over here for regular classes. You can access my free classes as well as my paid classes on this particular platform. The classes which are free, you can get that under the section of special classes, whereas in order to access my paid classes, paid live classes, you have to take Unacademy Plus subscription. So do make sure that you take the Unacademy Plus subscription to access all my paid classes, which are quite organized. The whole syllabus is being completed over there, and the classes are quite regular over there. So make sure that you take Unacademy Plus subscription by using my referral code, that is N_Huda. That's it for this. Thank you so much.